He said, that's what preachers' wives do. And I said, tell us when we mess up. I said, she does that quite well. All right. So we're going to look at Jehovah Rohi or Jehovah Rohi, which is the Lord my shepherd. Charles Spurgeon called this passage, Psalm 23, the pearl of the Psalms. And I had it here, and then I closed my Bible, and now I have to look for it again. It tells a lot. It tells a lot about God and a lot about us, and that's what we're going to look at. So I'm going to start off by reading. I'm actually going to read it out of King James, which is probably what's up there, but not what's here in my Bible. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. My first point, I called it, I think I borrowed this outline from somebody a long time ago, but the declaration of his name. It says, the Lord is my shepherd. And if you want to break down each of those things, it says the Lord. Number one, that's showing God's role. He is Lord. And it says the Lord is my shepherd, showing our relationship to him. And then the Lord is my shepherd, and that's showing God's responsibility. So his role is Lord. It's our God, my shepherd, showing that our relationship to him, and then the shepherd is his responsibility. Pastor named James Montgomery Bryce said, the 23rd Psalm is a masterpiece throughout, but if ever a psalm could stand on a single line or phrase, it was this one, the Lord is my shepherd. Now, if anybody knew what a shepherd, the role of a shepherd, what a shepherd should do, and how a shepherd should behave, that would be David, right? The shepherd is everything to the sheep. The sheep really can't do much, survive much without help. And I think that's a good picture of us. We watched a movie, we went with my daughter to a movie called The Sheep Detectives, is that right? And in it, the very first thing they said was something like, sheep are dumb, stupid, but we're not really. They are, yeah. So let's break this down. It says, first of all, the Lord is my shepherd. And that word Lord, L-O-R-D, capital L-O-R-D, is Yahweh, Jehovah. And that's God's personal name. He is the self-existent one. We talked about this last week. And because he is Lord, that means that if he is my shepherd, that we are God's people and he is my God. He is your God. Have you ever thought about that? That God claims us, and because of that, he deserves everything in our lives and our hearts. Everything that we think, everything we desire, everything we do ought to come under his lordship, for he is our shepherd. And it is my shepherd, not a shepherd, not even our shepherd, but it needs to be my shepherd. You need to have that personal relationship with him. Isaiah 53, it says, all of us like sheep have gone astray. Perfect example, again, a perfect description of us. And we've turned to our own way, but the Lord has caused the iniquity of us all to fall upon him. So he took all of our sin. He paid the penalty for all of our sin. God sent his only son to do that for us so that we would not perish but have everlasting life. And John 10:11, Jesus said, I am the good shepherd, and the good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. He surrendered his life willingly. He wasn't, in a sense you would say he wasn't martyred, he wasn't murdered. He willingly died on the cross for you and me. C.S. Lewis is quoted as saying, it costs God nothing, as far as we know, to create nice things. But to convert our rebellious wills, it cost him crucifixion, cost him his son. So God needs not only to be a shepherd, but he needs to be your shepherd. And hopefully he is. And then the shepherd. And I'm going to spend some time here. The shepherd provides, protects, nurtures, guides, blesses the sheep. And Jesus also said that he came to give us abundant life, right? So how does all this happen? Well, this is the demonstration. First of all, it says, I shall not want, right? God, if we haven't got to him, when I did this before, I did this almost the last one, but in the book that I was looking at as a guide, this was the second one, so I decided to go ahead and do it. But one of the other names we're going to see, this was, and I just went blank on her name, but it's El Roy, L-R-O-I, which is the God who sees. And I want you to understand that God sees everything. He sees all of our needs. He sees all of our mistakes. Sorry, you want one now? Okay. I wasn't paying attention. Not only that, he is Jehovah Jireh. What does that mean? Yeah, God will provide. So he not only knows all of our needs, he provides for them, and therefore we can say, I shall not want. Sheep left to themselves lack everything. This is a quote. They are truly the dumbest, most helpless animals on the planet. How does that make you feel? That God calls you his sheep, the dumbest, most helpless animals on the earth. Yes, we do tend to stray, yeah. We have a great need that we cannot provide for ourselves. Only God can do that. Only Jesus provided salvation for us. So, first of all, of the demonstration, how he shows his nature, I shall not lack provision. In Psalm 23, it says, he makes me lie down in green pastures and leads me beside the still waters. A lot of what I'm getting ready to share with you came out of a book called A Shepherd Looks at Psalm 23 by Philip Keller. And if any of you want to read it, let me know and I can get it. I don't think I have it here. I think it's at home. But he says in there that sheep do not lie down easily. It's really hard to get them to finally lay down. And we'll come back to that in a few minutes. They have to be free of fear. There cannot be anything that might cause them to be upset. They have to be free of friction, which means they feel accepted within the group that he's in there. They have to be free of flies. I don't think I have this up there. Or any other kind of pestilence. And they must be free of famine, which means they have to be full. They have to be able to eat. And only a shepherd can provide all of those things, the peace, the acceptance, the deliverance, and the pasture, and that's what God does for us. In fact, what does Philippians 4:19 say? My God shall all your needs. Yes, I knew if I got you started, you'd remember it. My God shall supply all your needs according to his riches and glory. And then Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. So he will provide everything you need. The second thing is I will not lack nurture. It says he restores my soul. He is Jehovah Rapha, and we'll come back to that one a little bit later, but he is the God who heals, and he is Jehovah Shalom. What does shalom mean? Peace. He's the God of peace. So even when we make a mess of our lives, he's there to give us peace and take care of us. This is another thing about sheep. It's called a cast down sheep. If they aren't sheared, and if their hair gets way too long and they lay down or try to get down, you know what's going to happen to them? They get top heavy and they flip over. And if they lay there on their back, fluid builds up in their lungs and they'll die within a few hours. That's called being cast down. And they have to be restored. And that was the picture that Philip Keller talked about when it says, he restores my soul. It's repositioning, helping to get back upright. And that's kind of what we need as well. And only the shepherd can do that. The sheep cannot cast themselves or get themselves right when they flip upside down. In John 15, Jesus said, I am I am the vine, you are the branches. Okay? And it says in that passage that he lifts up every branch that does not bear fruit. What it basically is saying is sometimes the grapevine will get down into the dirt and in the muck and mire, and it won't be able to produce. So they lift it up and tie it back up so then it can produce. And that's kind of what he does with us. He nurtures us. He takes care of us. And he also guides us. So I should not lack guidance. It says he guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. A couple other names that we're going to get to. One is Jehovah Sidkenu. That's God our righteousness. And Jehovah Imkadesh, which is God makes us holy. And it is only through God that those things happen. Sheep are kind of dumb animals. They wander off very easily. Lou mentioned that a while ago. What happens, well, one thing that goes along with that, as far as I know of everything I've read about this, sheep are the only animal that if it gets away, cannot find its way home. How many of you remember the movie, I just went blank on it, The Incredible Journey? Thank you. How many remember that movie? 2 dogs and a cat, right? Go all the way across Canada, going to someplace just because they knew the family was there. How they got there, I don't know, but they did. Sheep would never have made it, you know. Sheep get 20 feet away and they can't find their way home. And they have to have the shepherd come and help them. And it says that Jesus said that even if one of his sheep strayed away, he would leave the 99 and go get that one and bring it back. A lot of times, you see a picture, I know you've seen the picture of Jesus with a sheep over his shoulder. Well, they do that. Sometimes what they would do is actually break one of their legs so they couldn't run away. And the shepherd would carry them around until they got used to him, and then they didn't want to go anywhere except staying with him. Jesus is always seeking us and trying to bring us back. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. So where does he guide us? Toward righteousness. He will never lead us astray. He will never lead us in the wrong direction. Now, I'm not saying that he won't allow us to get into difficult situations so that he can show himself powerful, but he's going to guide us and keep us. And then the fourth thing is safety. And this could be during difficult times, during danger, but it also can be during good times. It doesn't matter. He's going to be there to guide us. And this passage I know we use a lot at funerals. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff that comfort me. Jesus is also, God is also named Jehovah Nisi, which is Lord our banner, and he fights our battles for us. The sheep have no natural defenses. Okay, they are white. They roam around in green grass. They have no camouflage. They don't have needles like porcupines to thing. They don't have armor like armadillos. They don't have sharp claws or teeth. They can't make themselves big like a goose to try to, scare you away. Have any of you ever been attacked by a goose? Yeah, they can be very mean. Chased one, yeah. They can't bark or yell or make a lot of noise to try to scare things off. The only way they can be protected is from the shepherd. I doubt that they would. I mean, they are. They're very, but now they might run into you, but I kind of doubt that with the sheep. Goats probably would. Goats, I think, are more. Yeah. 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 The Christian life is not always an easy one. It's not always tranquil. There are difficulties. And it says in here, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Well, I wanted to show you these. This is kind of like a shepherd's staff. The ones I've seen in pictures and stuff are probably this tall, curved a little bit more. But they use these a couple of different ways. The main thing is they will take it, and let's say the sheep is there, they'll take it and they'll just kind of put it up next to the sheep. Maybe to guide it a little bit, move it here or there. But sheep are herd animals. They like to have things up close. I watched a video a long time ago about cattle, and this lady, and I can't think of her name, but she developed a way to really help cattle maneuver around. And one of the things they do is they sometimes take them and they put them in, I forgot what they called it, but it's like a hug machine. Something they would be there and they'd bring things all the way up against it to hold it real good and tight. They like that. They like being right beside each other. And this is a way that the shepherd shows love for his sheep, is that he'll take the rod and just hold it up against them and guide them a little bit. I mean the staff, not the rod. And this is a shepherd's rod. This is actually a knob carry. This one was from Africa, but the ones the Jewish people use were very similar. It might not have this sharp point on it, but it might. Who knows? They're used more of a weapon. They would use these if a wolf or a lion or something attacked. This is what they would attack it with. They'd throw it, or they'd use it like a hatchet or something. Very, very hard and kind of sharp there too. If a sheep started wandering too far away and they couldn't get to it real fast, they would throw this out there. I think it's in that book by Philip Keller. He was talking about being in Israel, I believe. And they were on this road on a cliff or on a hillside, and a rock had fallen down. And so he and these other guys got out and were trying to push the rock off the cliff so they could get around. And just as they got it up a little bit, a cobra popped up. And he said before he could even blink, the shepherd that was with him had his knob carry out and killed the cobra. And that quick. And so it's a very good weapon. My niece's husband used to do a lot of missionary work over there, and so he brought me one. I'll let that pass around if y'all want, if you've never seen one or held one. I guess you can take my. Yeah. And not only does he provide for us, or how did I put that? It wasn't provide. Yeah. He lacks, he keeps us safe during the bad times, but he also keeps us safe during blessing and abundance. And the verse that says, you prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over. And he is El Shaddai. And El Shaddai means the Lord who satisfies. So he's going to take care of you. By the way, I think I just skipped this. Oh, yeah, I did skip this. During the winter months, the shepherds would bring the sheep down lower in the because of the snows and stuff. They'd bring them down lower and away from the mountains, and then in the spring, they would move them back up. Well, before they moved them back up, the shepherd would go up and he would make sure it was completely clear of any poisonous plants, anything that might hurt them. He'd make sure where the best grass was to take them up there. And they said when they get up there that they're well, I guess it would be in the winter months, they're in a little valley area, and it is darker. They have more shadows there. And they called that the shadow of death, because wild animals and stuff can get in there easily and sneak in. And so that's why David put that part in there about, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. That's where he's talking about in those lower levels that have more shade. Okay. The shepherd also mixed the olive oil and sulfur and spices to protect the sheep from insects and to heal their skin disease, which it says, thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. When I was in grade school, one of our Sunday school classes, or it could have been Bible school, but we studied the 23rd Psalm, and we were to write our own version of the 23rd Psalm. And we talked about what each of those things meant. And when it came to my cup runneth over, talking about, cup of wine or cup of whatever runneth over, the thing that just really jumped in my mind was my chocolate milk carton runneth over, right? I don't know about y'all, but at my elementary school, we got chocolate milk one time a week. And it was always a big treat. The rest of the time we had to drink plain milk. So anyway. And then finally, I shall not lack promise. The verse says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Goodness and mercy. What is mercy? That's grace. Not getting what we deserve. That's mercy. He's merciful to us, and we don't get what we deserve because we deserve death. But we don't get that, so that's mercy. And grace is getting what we don't deserve, but that would go along also with this goodness that he I just went blank what I was trying to say there. But he takes care of us, and he gives us all of these blessings. He blesses us in many, many ways. I read a story about some men. They were hiking in the Welsh mountains, and they met a shepherd boy, and they got to talking to him, and they shared the gospel with him. And because he was a shepherd, they told him about this verse, and they taught him, the Lord is my shepherd. And they taught him with his hand. They said, the Lord is my shepherd. And so he practiced that, and he learned that. And then, they were there for a week or so and left. About 5 years later, they came back to that same area, and they met this older lady. And she had a picture of this boy. And they were like, oh, we remember them. Whatever happened to him? Where is he? And she said he had died the winter before. He was out taking care of the sheep, and something happened, and he slipped and fell off of a cliff. And they said it was really kind of unusual because when they found him, he was holding his ring finger. And then they got to tell him, well, that's because he learned the Lord is my shepherd. So, is the Lord your shepherd? I hope so. And I think that's where I'm going to stop. Hey. Questions, comments? I can't tell you what is next week. It's what? ER, I think. Let me look for sure. Up, yeah, Philip, 2 L's, Keller, Keller. That is if I typed it right. And by the way, tomorrow is it. My last day there. So, yay! I'm excited. I'm ready. Well, let's stand and we'll